Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. A reminder, as always, that there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about these markets, guys. I mean, it feels like a new week, doesn't it? Even though it is a Friday, we are technically ending our week, but we've had quite a bit of volatility, obviously, over the last few days. I'm sure we can all, more or less see that, but welcome, guys. Welcome to today's show. We are excited to be here. I'm Snorlax. You also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Jackus, Will, and Louie. Welcome, guys. But real quickly, before we can start cooking, before we can start diving into these charts as we end the weekend, guys, because here's the thing. We can cover whatever you want if you hit the like button, right? And I'm sure you're going to want some clarity as we head into the weekend. We will not see you again until Friday. So I will challenge you guys today to smash the like button. As always, it means a lot to us as a panel, but also, if you want something specifically covered today, maybe you want to know, is it over? Are we so back? But if you hit the like button, we'll do our best to answer that question to the best of our abilities. So, guys, the July 4th dump really this entire week has been kind of a negative for Bitcoin, negative for crypto as a whole. Bitcoin trading down into that 53K level. I believe it was last night. ETH trading down into, did it trade below 2,800? I guess we did wick below 2,800 on ETH as well. So we are getting quite a bit of downside volatility on majors. That's reflected in altcoins as well. Although I will say this morning, there are obviously some altcoins that are showing quite a bit of strength locally, whether that is mean reversion simply after they got beat down more, or whether that is them potentially front running a low, I think is something that we will talk about today. But yeah, there are a few coins that since I would say the last 24 to 48 hours of dumping, they have shown a little bit of relative strength, right? But yeah, I think that the level in the sand for Bitcoin right now is 58K. Because if you don't reclaim that, you are looking still at cascade risk to the downside, vice versa for confluent levels on Ethereum. Meanwhile, I'll be honest, crypto has been so busy this week that I haven't even looked at the NASDAQ and the S&P today. Of course, the NASDAQ is green today, man. Why would you expect anything else? Only the coins are red.
That is chatting.
Yeah, the NASDAQ is literally up over 0.5%. Big shocker, I know. But yeah, it just continues to see this decorrelation between stocks and crypto, where crypto shows immense weakness, while equities obviously just continue this relentless uptrend that they've been in since the 2022 bottom. But wow, man, wow, that comment. I'm not going to say it, but I will open the floor up. I want to get y'all's thoughts on what we're seeing on the markets. Obviously, like I said, there has been quite a bit of downside volatility this week. It is, I believe, the first time since the Bitcoin low in 2022 that we've seen Bitcoin pull back to this degree from a percentage change standpoint. So this is new territory within this bull cycle. Is it over, guys? Are we so back? Are we somewhere in between? What are we seeing in the markets?
It's new for this cycle, but not new for Bitcoin historically. I would have to say
That's true. That's very true, Louie.
Historically, we've seen 30 to 40% pullbacks in Bitcoin bull runs. And currently we have a 27% pullback, guys. So that's kind of the point I want to push home today, is that this is something we've seen. Has it been this drawn out in the past? No, definitely not. But this is not uncharted territory for Bitcoin in bull markets. 30 to 40% pullbacks to shake out weak hands is usually what we see in the past couple of bull runs that Bitcoin has had. So, that this is something that we've seen before. So that's what I have to say. And we're pumping. That's what Haggard said. Haggard says we're pumping.
I think it's pretty interesting. I think a lot of people will try and leverage on the position of the broker structure really heavily. I can see a lot of people in the coming weeks. Well, the structure broke. Well, the structure broke. Well, the structure broke. That's all you're going to hear across the time frame, or at least the timeline, in my opinion. But I think, I mean, they're right in the essence of structure did break. Right, structure is broken. But at the same time, you have to wait for confirmation. I think confirmation is not what a lot of people are trying to say it is. It's more about your, again, for me, your body candle closes. If we get a body candle close back above 58K on the weekly, that'd be pretty immense. I think in price action, weekly, monthly time frames would be the best indicator of, okay, is this thing actually going to start downtrending, or can we recapture the price range? But until that happens, I think like remaining below this range is kind of dangerous for price action. And I think like what the expectation here should be is that if you close a weekly candle below 58K, I would expect you to get some kind of body close closer to 52K. And if you get a body close closer to 52K, and you come back up, I would expect the potential for basically a bounce at 52, a run up to 58, and then a rollover, right? A good potential of that happening versus actually recapturing the 58K range. Because what you tend to get is you get these break of structure. That's why you never short the break unless you're an idiot. But you get these break of structures, and then you allow them to confirm, right? How do you allow them to confirm? Well, you allow them to hit that first support, bounce out that first support, come back up and reject at what used to be support, right? That has now become resistance, and then you could take your short side position. You never take your short side position on your first break because it will always come back against you. Most of the time, it will come back against you if you're shorting support. This is why shorting support is like the normie thing to do versus the experienced trader thing to do. Experienced traders do not short support. They short the retest. The retest will confirm the downside potential, and you'll get a much bigger leg on the retest, right? Because if we roll at 58, let's say we hit 50, 52, come back up, roll at 58, you'll probably see lower pricing than what we saw at 52 if you get a rollover. And so you'll probably end up in your 40s at that point. I would assume if you get a rejection at 58. Again, it's body candles confirmation, in my opinion, not wicks. Wicks are just noise. Noise means nothing. And I keep on hearing people talk about Mount Gox. I mean, I talked about this a little bit this morning. Math is very difficult, right? It's very hard for a lot of people. I don't even know how they trade because they don't understand math. But Mount Gox, the German sell-off, blah, 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 German government, 2.1 billion, 3 billion. I think Mount Gox is like 3 or 4 billion. That size of sell-off on an asset that's worth 1.1 trillion. I'll do the math for everybody. That's 1,130 billion minus 3 billion. Tell me how that's going to move price. The sell-off occurred because the sell-off occurred. It has nothing to do with all these outside forces that people try to utilize as reasons for price action.
Well, I think it could move price, but I agree with you, Will. I think people are trying to justify a sell-off
justification
with, the news of Mount Gox, the news of the German government. It has, we've been in a downtrend more or less for a while. And we kind of talked about this, right? Like there's been a hidden big seller or sellers, plural, right? Yes. That have been in this market that have kind of caused this very controlled downtrend off the highs. Obviously, over the last few days, we've seen that downtrend become a little bit less controlled. Now, I think the question is whether or not do we see selling accelerate from here, or do we see a lower low get put in within the range and then a reclaim above 58K? Because they are very different scenarios ultimately.
And Rio actually I think he was meaning, but that's actually a really good point. Did you see what Rio put? So that can be
no one is buying. Well, the fourth, yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. We have a lot of people who already bought that are puking. gotta love those perp swings that thought they could just sit in those longs. They're having a rough.
Why don't leverage traders take profit? That's what I want to know. Like, why is that liquidity still sitting there? Like, you had 3 months in that range to say, you know what, maybe I should de-risk here. And now that
bull market, you think we're going up?
I mean, I agree with that point, but not on leverage. Leverage that's a different game.
The thing that you're getting to though is a bunch of greedy retail. These aren't leverage traders. These are people that got lucky with a leverage trade, and they think that they're going to run this up to 100 something K. That's what it is from here. I mean, the washouts have been apparent, right? They've been very apparent, and I think the funny part is 2,800 is something I discussed like a week ago, and I didn't think it was going to happen, man. I did not think it was going to happen, but it happened. But I had the level marked out. I had the level marked out for that potential. I said if Bitcoin pukes down to low 50s, you'll see this play out, and it played out to a T, man. The MOG top call. I know we talked about that. I think a couple days ago, Tommy. That was on freaking point, man. On Monday, I was like, MOG's out. I'm like, cut your MOG positions, take this thing for what it is. And man, we rolled right into the range on MOG. I think MOG's honestly a buy here. I mean, there's a lot of signaling, but it's hard to tell with Bitcoin's positioning. A lot of people would say, no, you need to wait for Bitcoin. Sure, you do, 100%. I think Bitcoin pukes again, something like it did, and I don't think it'll happen again. People have to understand what a flush looks like, right? July 4th was a flush. You're not going to get a flush back to back. It's not going to happen. Now the market's going to settle and it's going to decide direction. That's what it's going to do from here. You got the flush. Now you settle and decide direction from this positioning. So it's going to be a pretty interesting, I think, weeks, months coming up.
So we actually ran all these lows, huh? We tipped it, ran it all. All right. Well, that's all the liquidity.
So, yeah, that was everything, right? Like that's where I had 28. That's why I had 2,800 marked out, because I was like, if they run these lows, that's all they're going to do. Like, they're going to hit these lows, run them, and then we'll see what happens from there. The altcoin market makes me feel more bullish than Bitcoin does. It's kind of the weird thing, right? The altcoin market is respecting levels.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. There are some altcoins that look like they're trying to bottom, but it comes down to Bitcoin and ETH. And Jackus, I'd love to get your input, obviously, on Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. Kind of what you're expecting here over the next few days. Are you in the camp that you think? I know you're, because I've been watching what you've been posting on Twitter. You're probably more so in the camp that we're going to see lower prices. Do you think that that's going to be something that occurs imminently, or potentially, that there's maybe some sort of lag period in between?
Sorry, was that a question for me? I was
he was busy.
Away.
What are you doing over there, Jack? You watching football?
He's busy scalping.
I was eating.
He was busy looking at the like button.
You're eating your own cook?
Hold on. Before Jackus speaks, what does the like buttons look like?
No.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of hindsighters in the comments section. We're having clowns. They knew this was coming. I would love to see what their portfolios look like.
Yeah. Today is the day not to care much about the like button, but try to help people. That's it. Someone always trying to do, but the like button is there to help the algo, obviously. But today I will try to cook for people regardless. Might even take the chart from here to kind of follow up on what I was talking about an hour ago. So I'll start again. Yeah, I haven't shared it. Wait 1 sec.
Mustafa, I hope your bags consist of more than just Andy. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, so
all in, Will. All in all the time.
So I'll start probably kind of with where I just make it more shorter version of what I was talking about. But you know, the thing is with BTC right now, or like crypto, is that you'll get lots of people, rightfully so, emotional over this move, right? So it's hard to. And I no, listen, I do not mean it in a bad way. I just mean that like when you going to get moves like this or like this, people will not be looking at the facts. I do not mean to like laugh or anyone when I said emotional. I mean like it truly is emotional for lots of people because they are feeling lots of either pain or vice versa. They are feeling lots of euphoria, and it's hard to digest the reality from there. But I'll try to speak from as much objectiveness as possible, right? So, what is going on? So, um, right now, in my opinion, we had a not macro structure break, but a mid time frame. It would depend on what time frame you're looking at, right? And I'll get to that as to why it wasn't good to be bearish before, although it may have played out to some, but I would say it was mainly due to luck rather than anything else. Because it could have as easily, and it should have continued higher, in my opinion, from before, and made sense to remain bullish within the range as rather like expecting lower prices, right? Because the market simply was. We are seeing that on equities, we are seeing that on commodities, we are seeing it everywhere. But it was also important to flip bearish now when you're going to get the market structure break. And that's what we have. So what was happening within here, right? Wait, let me find the deal. So the market was trending higher this entire time, and all you got was higher lows after higher highs after higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. The same thing that played out over here could have easily happened over here. Here, you also had a range break, right? But it was a deviation, and back then you had lots of bears. And by the way, like what I'm trying to say here is that right now you'll get lots of people that will be claiming a victory and how it was correct to be bearish. And I mean, it was correct to be bearish at certain levels, or like take profits or hedge yourself. It wasn't correct to be bearish for these targets where we are right now, up here, in my opinion, or like up here, right? Because you remained to have the bullish structure. You remain to have bullish world assets as equities, as Nasdaq, SPX. You have bullish commodities too. So lots of that played like into one another. Right here, you had people that've been, and they'll be taking the victory laps right now, of course, but they've been bearish all the way from here, right? You guys can remember how everyone was trying to call for 33K retest, and then here it was coming again, and then here this was just a cartel pump, and from here they just kept calling that for lower. So obviously at one point they got lucky, it broke down. Here though, it made sense, however, to remain bullish, right? Like I'm talking in general, and please listen to the facts, right? When I'm talking, in this entire way, it made sense. It made sense when we deviated here below because we were still just doing a bullish retest, just like here. It's not making sense to me anymore to remain bullish when we are below, when we've broken the range lows, as I was suggesting, which was my higher time frame invalidation. It made sense, and I gave you guys, like you guys remember right from here shows live from my Twitter. Right here, I was saying that I'm not liking the way we are slowly grinding up towards this resistance. I'm not liking the OI. I'm not liking the sentiment. We could drop lower from here. When I did say so that we would be going lower from here, and we have, and I'm not taking any victory from that, I was suggesting we should be dropping to this higher time frame level. We did drop down there to this higher time frame level. It made sense right here. This is what I talked about previously, why bears that are taking victory laps. It makes no fucking sense. It also made no fucking sense here because you had FTX deviation, right? But all other major world assets, they bottomed during this period. And if I'm gonna put on silver, right, as the next one, you will see it precisely there. The market went down here to retest the support, and both of these assets were bottoming here. Then all of them, including equity, started to go up from here. You had a deviation break due to FTX, unexpected event. It was the luck for lots of bears that we even moved lower here. Then it continued higher. The same thing is here, right? You have just pure divergence from crypto. Now, you can notice from some people who will say that nobody knows anything, and that's absolutely true. Nobody does know anything. It's all a game of probabilities which you are trying to align to your side, and that's fair. Nobody knows anything in anything. We are all playing the game of probabilities. Nobody knows if the sun is going to come out tomorrow. We are just playing the game of probability. That's all it is, right? But it made a huge sense to stay bullish as long as the market was telling you, which is something I kept on reminding over and over again. And given how everything else looked or is still looking, it still made sense to be. But we have to respect a local market structure. And if crypto is for some reason diverging, and we can speculate what that reason is, we are expecting, we just have to accept that for some reason, that's what's happened. And when we lost the range lows, that was the case, right? So when I go back, right, it made sense down here to be calling for these levels, which is exactly what I did, right? Right here, I talked about, hey, we are at range highs, do not get excited until we flip it. And pullback is most likely to sweep all of these lows, which is what happened. But then what happened is that for some reason, we did not hold this support, right? We did not. And we could have easily, like nobody can convince you otherwise, that this support could have easily held and we could have sent high. We did not though. We broke lower, came back, retested the range lows. At this point, it was a warning sign. But and again, I said, this is a warning sign. We must be going up from here. And I was saying, we must reclaim this level. Until we do, this is just a bearish retest. And it happened to be, unfortunately for all of us, it happened to be a bearish retest. Again, crypto diverged from here, from rest of the assets. And if we were to reclaim it, I was expecting a quick upside. It did not follow though. So the resistance once again hold. We broke lower. We came back to retest the range lows. And just to be more precise, right, I would redefine this to the range lows as it was before. So when we dropped down here, we could have still held it. When we broke below this low, the cascade followed. And I couldn't be one day earlier to call this. I couldn't be one day later. It all unfolded so quickly, right? All I could have done is call these levels. It made sense to be higher time frame bullish in here. It doesn't make sense to be bullish right now until you are going to see some reclaim. Like you need to see, and I have a question now. Why would we be bouncing from this level? I don't see much reason, right? We need to be reclaiming the range first. And at that point, I would, like if we were to reclaim it. But until then, right now, you got lots of panic sells. you got lots of liquidation, it's obvious the market is going to bounce. It is obvious. It always happens. Even here, the market bounced but came back straight to first resistance and dropped from here. Right here, we are barely just retesting this level. There is no reason to get excited at all. We have to accept the trend has changed for whatever reason, how unfair it may have been, given again equities pumping higher. It is what it is. You guys gotta accept it. Now, this doesn't mean that it's over forever for crypto. I do not think that is the case. But we now have to acknowledge that we now have some room for bearish thesis, which is approximately like here, right? This is the bearish workflow we are working with right now. Until you meet higher time frame supports or until something reclaims here. And you just have to accept that. You have to accept that that the trend has changed. It made sense to be bullish above it, right? Again, just like here, the same people that are proclaiming a victory that came out of luck were the same ones that kept telling you here that 33K is going to come. It did not. I kept saying we remain to be bullish here until we lose it, right? Until we lose it on the weekly, the 4K, this is probably going to become a deviation, not to mention the support that was sitting right below it. It did happen. We continued higher. I said the same here. We kept holding it until now. When we lose it, you get a change. And this is a healthy way to approach the market, right? But again, I understand that when I began, during days like these, it is very easy to become emotional and not see the facts for where they are. But I always try to suggest to people, try to sorry, I'm looking for the right English word, but like judge your rather try to judge your decisions before, but not the outcome, right? Like, were the decisions you took correct? And if so, then that's a good learning point. If not, then learn. But do not judge the outcome, because the outcome can differ because of unexpected events. Like, for example, here, right? It made sense to be bullish down here at these prices for a longer term, of course. And then unexpectedly, FTX came in, right? So what was it wrong being bullish here? No, it made sense being bullish here. And if you held on spot even during this, or if you sold and then rebought quickly, which is something what I have done, then it played out very nicely in the long run. But you cannot be like saying, you cannot be too hard on yourself if you were, for example, bullish here, and then FTX came in, because that was a black swan. That was an unexpected event the market did not see coming, right? So these are very important factors. Now, again, locally, guys, do not get excited over bounces like these until you are going to get range reclaim. It is what it is. It is basically like here, right? When the market structure got broken, and this was higher time frame. This wasn't weekly structure, because the weekly structure here remains bullish, right? You still have, so to understand time frames, right? So you got lower low on the weekly and lower high, but you are still within this one leg, which is different, right? Right here, the structure changed when we broke below this key low. When it happened, it didn't continue. And even though you got bounced, and it took quite some time, right? Like right here, it took freaking, how much long? It took, well, it basically took like nearly 3 months, right? Or like 4 months before the real break lower. The market structure was broken here, and that's something that is right here. You had the market structure break, and what you can get is bounces. You may get something like this, but you do not get bullish until you see further range reclaim or until you see hard time frame support getting hit. So that's kind of that's kind of where I am and what I wanted to clarify to people, because I wouldn't normally do this, but I feel like the need to try to give my unbiased thoughts for lots of the people out there. Again, look at NDX. Would it make sense, right? Being bearish on crypto at this point? Probably not, but it is what it is. So
It
you
is
have to
interesting to me, though, Jack, is that we made a lower low when I look at the S&P and the NASDAQ back in last October. I think the optimistic case for crypto is that you are maybe still lagging that a little bit. And I kind of am going to reference what Will and I were looking at last week, which was that ETH looks a lot like Meta. And how funny is it, man? Do you remember we were talking about that, Will? On, I think it was Friday. We were talking, and I think we kind of came to the realization, like, if these are similar, ETH is going to go back to like 2,800. And then literally 2 or 3 days after that, here we are at 2,800. So I think if like there is a case to be made that we could be saved from these levels. But I agree with Jack is from the standpoint that in order to be blindly bullish here before we get that reclaim, you are in a way playing with fire, because if we cascade from here, obviously the next stop, there is not support. In those thin candles on Bitcoin. If we break down further on Bitcoin, we are going probably to the mid to low 40s. But I do think there's still the case. Yeah, I'm looking at that structure actually. I think this is Jackus's screen, but
Yep.
yeah, Jackus, you put that up, and I was like, wait a minute, that looks kind of familiar. This does unironically need to be the case for Bitcoin to bounce. Otherwise, I would 100% be on board with probably low to mid 40Ks. And probably not super far away. So it's going to be an important weekend. It's going to be an important next few days. I hate to put too much emphasis on what happens in the short term for a market that is very long-term focused, but it does feel particularly pertinent at this stage.
I feel like that.
What can happen, sorry, Bill, and I'll let you go after, but what has happened here, right, is that you also got the market structure break. And then what happened is that the market bounced but went lower regardless. And that's exactly what is facing BTC here. It can bounce, but it is facing strong resistance. And I do not even think it goes that high. But the thing is, it can drop lower. We can totally, bottom here or right below it after we sweep the liquidity. And that's a good possibility that it can happen. But what I would love to see, right, is like this first. So we bounce, we go lower, and then we reclaim the structure right above it. There is a good chance that we may be bottoming down here too, but you need to see first an interest on lower time frames at this support, and you then need to see it reclaim the structure, because otherwise what can also happen is that you will get like a bounce. Someone has terrible sound up there, and I think it's Will.
Noise.
Yeah, that was Will. I had to mute him. Sorry, Will. So what you can get is like a bounce from here, drop lower into this support, and then you can get another bounce into just resistance, and you can get a continuous sell-off. This is still very much possible. So while you may and probably are going to see another bounce from here, whether that comes straight from the support. And if it came from the support, it would be good. If we take the liquidity, I would be inclined more forward for this structure, right? So if you like going to break below here. Sorry, I had a background noise. So you can get like a bounce, but then further sell-off lower, and then possibly higher. So like the macro trend, I do repeat, remains to be bullish, right? But locally for the next probably few days, if not few weeks, you remain, well, definitely for the next few days, but for the next weeks and hopefully not that many months, you remain to be locally bearish. Again, the workspace for the bears right now is, and I am bearish right now, is this one, right? This is where you work with bearish thesis. So I do hope that's kind of clear. If you guys, I do hope I expressed my thoughts pretty well. What I mean, what it meant before, how we got here, and all of that. So I'll probably read some logical comments if there are some, and you can guys take the stage.
Yeah, I don't know. Those patterns look a little bit different between Nasdaq and Bitcoin, but I would say thesis wise, all it takes for me is a number. I don't care about time frames. I don't care if it's weeks, months, years, whatever. Is if you're below support, you're below support, and we're below support. We're below 58K ideally, right? We want to be above that. So if we're not above 58K, then I can't be bullish at the moment. I have to continue to be cautious. But I think like you need a certain structure creation to be able to fully go full on bear, right? Right now it's just cautious, not full on bear. I haven't dumped any of my shitcoin bags. I saw somebody comment, wonder if we'll dump all of his microcaps. No, I haven't dumped any of them. I rode them straight down. And it's only because I'm not bullish on the market, and where we are currently doesn't phase me. I know the overall goal of where we're going and what I have in mind as far as like Fibonacci levels and theses as far as price action and where the market will probably theoretically top. And so I'm basing a lot of my stuff off of that. And so if that's the case, then I'm trading based off of that, right? And that thesis doesn't revolve around being bearish. Can I get the chart there, Tommy?
Yeah,
because there's a couple important portions of the chart that I think a lot of people didn't take into mind. But we had the same structure here. We had the same exact structure here at the lows, where basically Bitcoin kept on forming new lower lows on the higher time frames and kept on dropping right into the range, regardless of whether it was a high range and a low range. We tightened up here, we loosened up over here, and then we expanded, right? That's a microphone pattern. And then up here, theoretically, we're doing something in a similar fashion. The only problem is it's a flat top, right? But we're still doing something in a fashion of like basically loosening up. And then for me, it's expansion from there, wherever that may be. As long as the structure can hold. Now, if the structure ends up being something like this, that's a little different, right? Because now we're probably looking at doing something pretty crazy like this, right? And then using this as resistance and then rolling to the downside. Now, what does it look like for me for like price action? Like what a swing fail would look like versus a swing breakout? Well, for me, I would probably put it on the weekly time frame, and weekly time frame RSI is absolutely after right now. So I'm not even gonna sit here and try and front like it's not. But if I were to look for a swing fail, again, it would be body candle is what I'd look for, closing at the $52K mark, right? So the body, not the wick, closing at the 52K mark. And then from there, I would expect, again, where was resistance? It was right roughly about 58K, right? So I would look for probably some kind of swing up into here. Again, body, drop, roll, swing, fail, right? This is where I would theoretically short if I was looking to short. I would never short the breakdown. I think only basically freshies or people that don't even really do TA, all right, are going to short support or long resistance. It's only those people that are going to do that kind of shit, and they're going to learn real quick why it's a bad idea to do that, especially when price comes back against them and liquidates their 100x long or the 100x short or 100x long that they've taken. This is typically what a actual downtrend will kind of pattern, right? It'll pattern a break of structure, a retest of structure, a swing fail into a breakdown, and then support won't hold, and then you'll come down deeper to the next support run. At that point, now you've got a downtrend, right? And now you've got a market that you could theoretically say is bearish at that point. And now you start looking for the next level to drop and the next level to drop. And you start looking again for retest fail, and you start taking those retests as areas where you can start shorting the market all the way down. This is exactly what I did in 2022 when the market started to take an absolute shit. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, they're going to play this whole grab liquidity, wreck them. Grab liquidity, wreck them, which is the retest fail. And then at that point, you can just keep shorting those retests every single time. It's like clockwork. You can just off and on, right? It's hard to miss those once it starts going. It ends up being a repetitive pattern that just plays out over and over and over again. But again, I don't think we're quite there. This is a pretty big wick. I think we could come up, probably retest 58, maybe slow grind into price range, right? That might be something that might be a potential here if we reject at 58. But as of right now, we haven't got enough time sitting here to really, delineate that. Hey, this is a breakdown. We need more time, and then we need to see that retest fail. That's what we need to see in my perspective. Not to mention a few key levels I was looking at on the higher time frames, which was pretty interesting because I was looking at your body close here, right? Which seems pretty interesting around 57K. We're coming up to it. If we can flip it, then it would be basically the same thing as where we were over here and over here. We'd be back in the range of the higher range. And then I was also looking at this wick right here, which was basically the retest right here, which I never even entertained this, right? I never entertained this as a thought process for price action. But it's pretty funny how we did get price to go back into that range on the monthly time frame, right in here, which is our November 2021 top, essentially, right? One other thing that I saw here was the RSI, and this is what I mean by like the RSI is screwed on the weekly, because we had this nice trend that just continued to be respected time and time and time again. And then what happens? The market wrecks the trend, right? And now theoretically, the only thing we have to go off of, because this trend is now ixnay, can't use it anymore. It has no purpose. Now theoretically, the only trend that I can use and this is just how I trade, is the 50, right? So price has to now theoretically get back above the 50 to become bullish again. And right now we're not above the 50. So because strength is not above the 50, it shows the market has weakness. And if there's weakness, then you just need to look for a swing fail potential, right? Now, let's say we do what I said and kind of grind back into that 52K range and then kind of move back up towards that 58K range. And then we flip the 50 at that point. There's good potential they could drive it back down, but you'll probably see that become support. And then you'll see some kind of driving force pushing price back up, because anytime you're above the 50, you're bullish on the market. You should be bullish on the market. Anytime you're below the 50, you should be bearish on the market. But I've seen where Bitcoin has done this before, like right in here, where when it gets below the 50 and then flips it right back up, which is ideally right where we're at right now, and actually coming right into the low here. Not quite there yet, but coming into the low there. And if they pull off a move like what they did right here, we could see on that time frame here, on that low, this right here theoretically was the low range of the market, right below the 50, right? So if we end up pulling that off again and we can get back above the 50, which is what we did right in here, which is where you should have gotten bullish again. So let's mark that out. Let's go back out. You'll see that was your first up candle, your first big upswing. And then you could have taken that for a long position at that point and rode this thing all the way up, essentially. So this is what I would look for: a couple things: a reclaim of price, 58K, and a reclaim above the 50 on RSI. If you can get those two kind of as a confluence type play, you've got a strong uptrend coming. That's the way I would take this. Until that happens, though, I would just look for more potential of risk, right? Risk of downside.
What are you talking about when you say the 50? Well, we're getting a couple questions. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, my bad. On the RSI, the show of strength is 50 or above, right? And show of weakness is 50 or below.
So that's an RSI level.
On an RSI level, correct. Yeah. So when I say the 50, I mean the strength of the market. When you've got a 50 or better, think of it like an odds play, right? I think that's the easiest way a lot of people can really break this down in their head, even though that's not really the way it should be, I guess, thought of. But like, if you have a 51% chance, you have a better odds chance of winning, right? If you have a 49% chance, you have a less of an odds chance of winning. So when strength is in your favor, you should be bullish. When strength is not in your favor, you should be bearish. So below the 50 on the RSI, you should be bearish. Above the 50 on the RSI, you should be bullish. And really, the RSI is the simplest way that any retail can enter the market and try TA. It is. It's the easiest, most like dumbed down scenario you can look at. Like I like trend, and I like levels. Right? Trend was valid until it wasn't. Now that trend is not valid, I have to use levels. So the levels to this shit is basically 50 or above, or 50 and below. And currently we're below the 50. So we have to be cautious. We can't be overly bullish. We can't be going and be like, all right, what microcap shitter just launched so I can get into it. There's none of that in the,
You're not already
below
thinking
50
about the
range.
next play, Will?
Not below the 50 range. Above it, sure, but I am holding on to quite a few bags. I'm not too worried about those specifically because they're already floored. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? Zero? Okay. Rug me then.
To zero? I mean, I already wrote them off to zero when I bought them.
My exposure is done in a smart way. I know a lot of people are always like, "Oh, he probably sold his," but guys, I'm not as exposed as most of you. Like I have thousands of dollars in some of these shitcoins, but it's not as much exposure to my overall portfolio as most of you, right? Some of you may have $1,000 in that shitcoin, but that $1,000 is all you have.
That's how you play them. It's not like a lot of people, like they're putting all their money in these things. Like it should be a small allocation of your portfolio.
Yeah, I don't risk like that. Like I take hefty risk. Don't get me wrong. Like I take hefty risk, but like I do it in a smart way. I do it in a way that's not going to absolutely obliterate my generational wealth. But that's pretty much it, man. I mean, like I think that looking at these terms as far as markets go, like to me, just be cautious for now. Again, you can see that 58K, and that I think 58K is resistance for now. I do. I truly do. I don't think we're gonna flip it right now. I think that if we come back up and hit it, it's a cut if you're long, and then you'll probably bleed back into the range, and then you need to get confirmation once you come back up for that retest. This is not the retest. This is just a price level reactionary bounce. That's what it is. A retest comes once price kind of gradually grinds into a level, sits there for a little bit, market's indecisive, maybe you get a doji, and a doji is typically a reversal. You'll get that reversal. Everybody will call the doji reversal here. Price will roll back up, and then if you get a rejection here, again, another doji, now you're screwed. Take it for downside, right? But if you don't get another doji and you could break above this range, you can get theoretically back up to, the 60, 61K range. You can feel a little safer about price.
What do you guys make of the strength from the Sol ecosystem today? I mean, it's pretty pronounced. I would also say not just the Sol ecosystem, but also some altcoins that were leading the market before we saw this recent downside, right? Like an ENS, for example, is up 5%. But I want to point it more so, and I guess MOG as well is up 5%. But the Sol coins, Solana, PopCat, WIF, Bonk, they're all green today. Do we take any signal from that?
I mean, Sol led the market in the beginning of this run from the cycle lows. So I would say there is signal in that.
Bro, my W thesis on Sol still playing. That's all I'm saying, man. It is still like we hit that bottom, bounced right off it. Sol just instant bounce right off that support. And so I think like this right here, like that's still a play for me. And I don't think it's been invalidated at all. So even though Bitcoin is kind of where it's at, Solana is really stepping it up here. Yeah.
Alts are going to lead to the upside. Like you could wait for Bitcoin, but alts are going to, by the time you wait for Bitcoin, alts are going to be up way higher than they are from here if we do bottom soon. So
yeah, the Solana, like, and this is why I haven't sold my shitcoins, because Solana is showing you the way, right? You can say whatever you want. Like ETH got wrecked. Where's Solana? Sitting right back at support again. Like my soul shit coins, I'm unbothered on a lot of them, just
He's
because of where
in his lane, all of the above.
Just because of where this is. But yeah, man, there's in a stock market too. Like, I know a lot of people are crying today about price. It's like, bruh, like, I'm doing fine. Like, all my shit's up. I mean, I got in my bag down here on calls, right? Around $9-10. Everybody else sitting there just wham. Like, I'm making tons of money. Making money in the stock market, making money on some shit coins. Not many. I'll tell you that, not many. But the stock market is definitely carrying the port, right? It's definitely carrying the port. And this is why I try to have exposure in both areas. Interesting one here was KSM, a re-deviation. I don't know if that's a deviation anymore, bruv. You don't get a re-deviation. So now I got to revisit the
re-deviation.
I got to revisit the chalkboard on this one. Let me see. Ave looks pretty good as far as strength. Hood, I mean, shoot, man. Hood's going to be, look, I'll give you guys that. Hood's going to be here soon.
Yes, it is.
Literally nothing there until that range. You're going to be up there. Pepe, look, right into the range, right? I mean, this is actually a pretty respectable level if you can hold it, to be honest with you. My God, did they wreck people, though? They wrecked people on that one. Another one, too, that I think is pretty interesting here is, look at that. Oh, look at that. This is the scenario I told people was going to play out. And Sunday I said sell right around here, and we're right back in the range. So, I mean, I talked about this before. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know why at 2 levels like this, it's so freaking weird. It's almost like it's mechanical. I'm not even going to try and bullshit, man. Like, tell me this doesn't look mechanical, Louis.
No, I agree. Yeah. No, it's going to play until it doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
Just stair step. It's like the perfect example of stair step up.
Yeah.
But usually doesn't elevator down. It just elevators up again.
Yeah, I mean, this thing's going to rip off of this level to the next level. That's what it's going to do here. You're going to just see Mog just run it up again. And everybody's going to be like, nobody saw it coming. This is where you buy, guys. Like, I mean, look at this rebound off the low here. Like, I honestly think it could chop a little longer, as it did right in here. But, like, this is why I'm saying, like, alts are still showing strength. They're not showing weakness. Even though Bitcoin's obliterated right now, these altcoins are still kind of like, they're still screaming, hey, there's more gas in the tank.
I agree.
So that's what I'm playing with.
I think the fact that Sol did not break through support is, I'm taking it as signal personally. Really not just that, but also yesterday, ETH was hemorrhaging into the 2,800 level, and Solana was barely down. Like the relative down, it was beginning to move up even on a lower time frame. So I do think there are some signals for optimism at these prices. But I think if you continue to slip, then we definitely open the door. I mean, for Bitcoin and ETH, obviously, we've talked about the levels, but for altcoins, the relative strength goes from, okay, it's relative strength, but at that point, you would have to say the strength that you're seeing is more than likely just mean reversion rather than, leading potentially the next leg of the trend. But I will say, I'm kind of more in the camp that you're seeing the Sol coins and the Sol meme coins bottom, because on every high time frame leg, we've seen Solana lead the way. We saw Solana set new lows within its structure months ago, and it still has not broken down from those lows, despite the fact, that you have Bitcoin and ETH both doing the same. Typically, that relationship has been reversed, at least since the start of 2023, right? Like, we have seen Solana, if the market's going to nuke through support, Solana's going first. If the market's going to push through resistance, Solana's going first. And what did we not see over the last few days? We did not see Solana break down through support, which I have to take as a little bit of signal, even if I cannot get explicitly bullish necessarily until we see some more, structural reclaims.
Let's be real, guys. Not even GCR could have saved us. Like, even GCR, the legend himself, the best trader in the universe of crypto, said that, listen, he said in April, it's over, that we are going higher. And it did not unfold. Not to blame him off, right? Like, he's a legend. Just saying that it's the space that just keeps getting sent lower after lower. Like, this would never happen in stocks, in my opinion. It's really just that the industry is just fully crippled by the legislation and manipulation and all of that. So just saying that basically, you gotta respect the market structure regardless how everything is oversold. Because in crypto, what I learned is that you can get a capitulation after capitulation after capitulation. And you can keep sending Clover minus 90% after you lost minus 90%. You will not get this in stocks because they are real companies that are, or at least are, trying to make a real profit in some ways. So that's a very different approach, and you need to adjust it in the decision making until at least we are going to get that regulatory clarity, which I called for being detrimental for this industry to come forward from here. Because all the retail over the past many years already got in. The only entities that can pump this industry from here forward is unfortunately Wall Street and big hedge funds. It cannot be retail. Retail is out of money to pump this.
Yeah, and again, not to toot horns or anything like that, but I did say, roughly around this 63K bounce, I was like, we're gonna see this thing come down. I'll tell you this though, no cap, I did not see it coming down this far. And no freaking way. I was like, we're gonna create the wick here, and the wick just kept on wicking. And I was like, God damn, like this thing just keeps going. But I was anticipating a downturn after the hammer. I was anticipating the downturn, but I was expecting something like this, right? I wasn't expecting something like this. And so it's a hard one here. But I was definitely expecting some kind of downturn. I didn't cut any positions. So I'm not going to sit up here and try to be like, hey, guys, I got out right on time. Yeah. I bought in right on time. No, I didn't. I wrote this down with everybody else.
A lot of people in the comments, though, they knew exactly what to do at the exact right time, the hindsight ors.
Yeah. And who's daddy?
Pull a Tommy real quick.
Yeah. Who's daddy? I did call for this on I think it was Tuesday, Tommy, or something like that, where I think we were talking about it on Monday with the whole crew here, as I told them we were going to wick down before we moved back up. So I would suggest that you maybe use your eyes rather than talk with your mouth, because your mouth doesn't work very well. But go ahead, Louis. It's all on you.
Go ahead, Louis. You get to follow that comment.
Thanks, bro. Tommy, you actually have to do it for me, though.
Oh, wait. Yeah. I
got child lock on.
Yeah, you don't have admin.
Yeah. All right. So, listen, I've just been reading the comments. It's just, I think it's hysterical. But listen, if you want to sit there and believe that,
it's what I said, Louis. It's what I said. During days like these, everyone will get lots of emotion. But
that's
and
fine.
I get it.
That's what the market does.
Everyone's portfolio is bleeding heavy, right? Yeah. For most people. So everyone gets it, right? People will get emotional until it comes down.
Right.
Don't mean it in a bad way.
No. I listen. I'm here to do a job. I'm not here for people to like me. So that's all right. I'm here to try to help people however I can. And how I could help people is basically give you what I know from experience in the crypto market. And look,
let me ask you a question before you get cooking, Louis. All right. If you were full ported shitcoins, how would you feel right now?
I'd feel way worse.
Okay, but how is your portfolio right now? Let me just ask. Are
From the
you all
highs?
shitcoins?
No. I'm like I've been like I think I was last stream I was talking about. You got to have a base. I have a solid 25% of my portfolio is Bitcoin. Then I have a lot of mid to high cap altcoins, which are down, but they're not down, 80, 90%. And then the rest, the last 25%, is shitters. So, but all in all, I'm probably down maybe 30% off the highs. And that's because I did play some winners while we were bleeding, like Andy. I was buying Andy at the lows. I was buying Pepe at the lows. And I did hit a couple nice wins like Honk as a low cap micro cap that's playing well for me. So I have hit some winners, but I've also had my base of Bitcoin as well as high to mid cap altcoins that haven't died. So I mean I'm down, but I'm not down like 75, 80%. I'm down maybe 30%, 35%. And I'm comfortable doing that. I've been doing this for 6 years. I've invested in crypto for 6 years. And in my experience, through these downturns, I've found the most success holding through these cascading downturns. And that's not to say, oh, well, then you're just always bullish. That's actually incorrect. 2022, during the bear market, when we actually did finish a full altcoin cycle, a full crypto cycle, as we usually schedule, as the scheduling of the 4-year cycle happens. I did happen to sell Bitcoin around 50K after we got a retrace after cascading down because I realized that we were probably heading lower. I did sell my ETH around 3.5K. So I'm not always bullish. But what I can say is while we're in the midst of a market cycle, which we are, because context is key. This is not the end of a market cycle. We are in the middle of a market cycle. Bitcoin has large sell-offs, 30 to 40%. We are seeing a 27% pullback right now. We haven't even hit a 30% pullback. So that's one point. Another point is we have lost market structure. There's no denying that. And that puts me on caution mode. I'm not saying I'm 100% bullish. I'm not as bullish as I was right here at the bottom of the range because why would I get bearish at range lows? That makes zero sense. That's the same reason why you do not get bullish at range highs. I was not bearish here. And look, 2 or 3 days, these moves happen quick. All right. And it happened on a holiday. And that's when these moves like to happen. They like to screw people over when they're not paying attention. That's markets. Okay. What I can say is this, and this is how I try to help people. I want to prevent you or anyone else who's watching or anyone wants to care to listen. I don't care if you listen to me. Just ignore me if you don't want to listen to me. How I want to help people is preventing you from selling here or selling yesterday or whatever you did yesterday, selling here just to buy back up here. I don't want you doing that because you're taking an L you don't need to take. Should we be cautious here? Yes, 100%. But now let's zoom out during this whole move up from the lows, this whole market cycle so far. I want to show you 2 other examples of that when we've done something like this. Let's look at March of 2023. Okay? Look what happened here, guys. We had a market structure. We lost range lows. Guess what happened then? I remember everyone was like, we're out, we're done. Here, right at the low. And a lot of people sold here, which I don't blame you. You're losing market structure. Technical analysis, if you're an analyst or a chartist, you should probably do that in any other market. But this is crypto. This is the most volatile asset class in the world. And it's a lower market cap asset class. This is easily manipulated, okay? Look at what happened here. We lost market structure. We front ran demand. And if you sold down here, where was your chance to get back in? Tell me, where was your chance? This thing shot up in about 5 days and ripped past the all-time highs, okay? I'm not saying that's what we're going to do right now. What I'm saying is from my experience, I've seen this happen multiple times. Okay, this is what crypto likes to do. Okay, let's move on. Nope, not use the wrong tool. Let's move on. When was this, guys? This was January of this year. We had a range. Again, what happened? We lost the range, didn't we? On a big move down, just like we just saw on one day. The following day, we front ran demand again. We came back up, and the only time you really had a chance to get back in was up here. And if you didn't, guess what happened? You were left behind. Up, 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 up only. Okay? And then you had a chance to get up here. All right? What I like to do, what I'm here to do is try to help people from playing into the market's hand. The market wants you to panic here, sell here, and chase here. Chase here, chase here, chase here. That's what the market's trying to do. But we have lost structure. I'm an analyst as well, okay? We have lost structure. There's no denying it. But it would be a big shame if you spent all this time holding just to sell here and this thing to go like this. And now you're chasing up here, and now you're even more pissed. And now you're even down more money, and you took the realized loss. Okay? That's all I have to say. You don't have to listen to me. You could tell me I'm a perma bull. You could say whatever you like. I don't care. I'm not here for you to like me. I'm here to give you my experience and my hindsight and my information that I have cultivated over the years. That's only thing that I want to say. Can we do this? Absolutely. But at least wait for this. At least wait to come back up to range lows and see our reaction here. Okay? To sell here makes absolutely no sense. The time to sell was here. Okay? That's all I want to say. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you,
I
Louis.
guess I gotta run. I gotta root for Spain because Germany is not going to go away with this selling.
Well, I have money on Germany, so I'm kind of rooting for them to win. But yeah, we can. I mean, we can go ahead and close out the show. My
Bye,
cat's.
Jackus.
See you, Jackus.
You guys-
my cat's kind
You
of.
guys can go on, but I gotta go.
Thank you, Jackus.
All right. Yes, yeah.
Oh man, my cat is he's messing with the door behind me, but I think this is a pretty good spot to wrap up. It is a Friday, so I have no idea what the like button is at. Absolutely no clue. We're at 161 likes. I mean, really, I'm pretty disappointed, but I'll go easy on you guys because I'm sure the markets have been in a downtrend pretty much the entire week. So no, it's not just that I want to watch the Euros. It is a Friday, and you guys are not hitting the like button. So why would I share alpha if we're not even at 200 likes? Booty Bandit. That's one of the best names in the comment section, by the way. Is just flat out Booty Bandit. But yeah, guys, I think when Monday and Tuesday roll around, we're going to have a pretty clear picture of what to work with, right? Like, are we working with maybe another consolidation before lower? Maybe it's a complacency shoulder. Maybe it's, a full-blown reclaim of 58K. I'm not sure, but I will say I am taking some signal from the fact that you have Solana coins performing on a lower time frame since the low, and I'm especially taking note of that given the fact that Ethereum yesterday, like I said, while it was hemorrhaging literally on a lower time frame down to 2,800, you had Solana beginning to move higher. So I am going to take a little bit of signal from that, and if Bitcoin wants to go lower, maybe that's just Sol and Sol Eco coins showing that maybe they don't want to go down quite as much. I don't know. I think the market is, though, kind of showing you today what is going to be bid first off the low, whether that is here, whether that is mid 40s, whether that is 51 or 52K, who knows? But I think the next few days are going to be especially important. But yeah, I still honestly think that a lot of these prices are pretty nice discounts for altcoins. But obviously, if Bitcoin breaks too much lower, then discount is going to become a relative term. But yeah, no, I like the bounce back that we had. Like Popcat's up 15%, Whiff's up 11%. MOG is up 3%. Those are positive signs, in my opinion. And then I'm going to go back to it one last time before I kind of run through the housekeeping stuff. But yeah, we literally talked about this move on ETH unintentionally earlier this week. And this is basically the exact price where if ETH is going to do what Meta did, it should bounce from these prices. So That's what I would say about that. But we will be back on Monday, guys. Thank you so much again for tuning in. I know we didn't get to 200 likes today. It's okay. I'll give you guys a pass on today of all days, just because it's been a rough week, right? It's been a bit of a rough week for some of you, I'm sure. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get into some of these housekeeping measures. I actually literally just bought a puppet while I was speaking, so I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I own another Bitcoin puppet,
How
guys.
many puppets do you have, Tommy?
I'm not answering that. I have a lot of them, though.
All right, just give one to me. I'll send you my Bitcoin address.
I'm not saying, dude, they're too expensive for me to just send you one. But all right, guys. A reminder that because Bitcoin BB has officially launched its wealth management arm, BB Wealth Management, as it is appropriately named. If becoming involved in that is something that interests you, we do have more information linked in the description below. General overview, it is a long short fund, so we are capable of trading in both directions. Primarily digital assets and crypto, right? But we operate in a way that takes into account crypto's historic propensity for asymmetric upside, of course, with the understanding that markets are a zero-sum game and a risky one, as well as we've come to see this week. But we are so excited that we can finally trade that as well as a team, but of course as well that we can offer you the opportunity as an audience, as a community, to potentially be involved with that as well. So if becoming involved as an accredited investor or an LP is something that interests you, we do have more information linked in the description below. Not to forget BB Academy. That is a course by the BB team, and it is your full comprehensive educational content. I always say the primary value proposition of BB Academy is that we do have such a diverse team of traders who have been crushing the market for a good while at this point. And because we have these different skill sets, these different niches in the way that we approach the market, there's so much value there, right? Because, you can look, one person can be drawing lines and trend lines and, support and resistance with their trading. And then obviously others, maybe they trade with order flow. Others will trade with, they'll go off intuition, gut, culture. There are a lot of different ways to approach markets in general, guys. So if you're looking to hone your educational base, maybe your overall approach in the way that you view markets, this is a great way, in my opinion, to, like I said, hone your educational base, sharpen your tools, and maybe even reach proficiency level with some of these topics as well. But not to forget our programming either, guys. If you enjoyed Market Check, I'm expecting the like button hitters to be back next week. This is your only pass today. I will put the soybean chart on there on Monday without fail. So best believe that. But we'll be back for another episode. What do you say?
You can just leave the Bitcoin chart on.
Yeah, or honestly be more painful for a lot of them. We will be back for another episode on Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm looking forward to seeing where the market is. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I'm maybe a bit more optimistic than some of my other teammates, but we will see. We'll see how it pans out. Either way, not to forget, I think I've said that 3 times already, but I'm gonna have to work on my transition games. I blame the 4th of July because it threw me off. Like I get by Thursday or Friday, I'm very much in the routine, like that weekly swing of things. And then today, like, it was interrupted by a holiday. So I'm going to blame it on that. But that is just me yapping, guys. That is just me yapping. But I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to tune in for Market Talk later this afternoon, hosted by the legendary King Wabi. The timing may vary a little bit, so just make sure to stay following our Twitter account so you can be notified when we go live. That's it from us, guys. Yeah, Joseph put it best. Drake over, not because the cycle is over, but because the show is over. Drake, I'm assuming that's what you meant. That's what I'm going to take it as. Regardless, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great Friday, a fantastic weekend. Let's see what we have on Monday. And yeah, guys, as always, especially in these conditions, right? Stay safe. But thanks again.